Thank you for tuning in to Breaking Down the Barriers on KZI 88.7 FM. I'm your host, Beverly Reeves. Breaking Down the Barriers is an initiative of the Austin Independent School District. This program was created to provide information on resources, programs, and district initiatives to support families in preparing each and every student to be successful. Today's guests are Dr. Aida Alanis, the Assistant Director of English Language Learners, and Ms. Nora Montes de Flores, Parent Support Coordinator of the International Welcome Center. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about yourselves and the roles that you have with Austin ISD.
I'm Dr. Alanis, and I've been with the ISD since 1986, and I've served in the area of English language arts for our schools, science as well, and always with ESL. I've been with the bilingual department, or the Department of English Language Learners, for now about 8 years. And I work basically with the secondary programs, making sure that we have instructional resources for our students and meet their goals of graduating.
Okay.
My name is Nora Montes, and I was the facility coordinator for the International Welcome Center. Now I get my new position, which is the Parent Support Coordinator for the center. I moved from Mexico City 11 years ago, and the first place I visited was the center because I brought my son. At that time he was 16 years old, and he was going to Anderson, and they didn't know if he knew English or not. As a newcomer, we went over there. At that point, I really pray and say, this is a nice job to be here.
Yeah, okay.
And then 5 years later, I got the job without knowing that I was applying for that job. And I'm at the center, and I love what I do there because I can identify with all the families that are coming with their children to a different country. You don't know anything about it.
Right, and that's perfect because you had the experience yourself,
Correct.
so you know exactly what the families are going through.
How you feel.
So tell us about the International Welcome Center and how long it's been in existence.
As far as I know, it started like 11 or 12 years ago, and I started working there 6 years ago. We were at Lanier, and the first thing that we offer there is the oral proficiency test because the students need to be identified as English language learners or not. And we also were giving them some information for enrollment about shots, about whatever, all those different documents they needed for enrollment, and giving them as much as we could of the information so they can feel more confident with enrolling their students. Now we moved to Allen Center, and the English Language Learners Department is supporting this new expansion, and we're starting to give orientation for the families with the whole orientation for the school system. And Ms. Rebecca Ramirez is with us. She's the liaison, and she's doing a great job there with us too, orienting the parents.
So those in the audience who may not be familiar with the oral proficiency testing, what exactly does that do, Dr. Alanis? Can you?
It helps identify and place students initially when they come into our programs, and it gives us a clear indication about the type of program that they need and service that we provide. It's a requirement or a compliance necessity for our program.
So it helps us place the student in the right program. Okay.
Nora mentioned the new features or the new services that we're providing, and that's orientation for our students and parents. This is key to helping them acculturate to our educational system and to the different components that are part of the education of their children.
We know we're there to serve the families, and that's what we let them know when they are there. We're here to serve you and provide as much information, and we want you to call us back if you have questions. And we're reinforcing very much the assistance and the 90% they need for accomplish their credits in the school. So that's something new for them, especially for Latin American countries that it's not a mandatory school, so they need to learn that. They need to understand they have to be at school.
That is critical for them to attend school.
Correct, the attendance.
So it sounds like the orientation piece is really critical because like you alluded to a second ago, the education system in different countries are not the same. Correct. So how did you determine that there was this need? It sounds like attendance might have been an issue with understanding the requirement for attendance.
Attendance, and for our secondary students is understanding scheduling and course requirements, because our goal is that these students be in a career path and in a graduation path that we create for them. So having them understand and be advocates for themselves, to know what classes they're enrolled in and what classes would be following or sequencing is very key and important. And the whole notion of credits and assessments that we have that are required by the state. That's something that we spend time communicating with our students and their families as well.
So the students that are served through the International Welcome Center, are they any student who moves here from another country, or are there certain requirements that have to be met?
At this point, we're serving just high schools because we need to determine if they qualify for the services of the International High School, which has different criteria for other high schools. So yes, any newcomer that any campus receive, they send it to us so we can assess them and determine if they qualify for the services of International High School. If not, they will go to their home school, but now we're orienting them. And giving that piece of credits is also very, very important because in our countries, it's just like a fixed curriculum for everybody. And now here they need to learn, they need to take control of what are the credits they are going to be going through and needing and passing. So that's also another piece that we are addressing.
So you mentioned the Latin American countries that are represented. What other countries are students coming from?
Well, we receive from all over the world. At this point, starting in August, we have been serving students from 25 different countries.
Wow.
And which is amazing. It's just very, very, and see the differences in their culture, the way they dress, the way they react to the information, because that's something that they have in their country. We're learning a lot of different countries, and then the languages are also Kinyarwanda. That's the first time I heard that language, and it's very nice people, and you can see they need to know exactly what's going to happen with their students and their children. So the way we manage the languages is that the resettlement agencies send them with interpreters. So they are very helpful.
So Dr. Alanis, with the languages that are coming to us, and I understand we have more than 80 some odd languages spoken in the district?
Correct.
How do we serve our students with so many languages? Because I know we don't provide interpreters for every language that's
we work with our
represented.
staffs and our campuses. One of the first things that we want to ensure is, of course, a curriculum and the resources that we make available. Our key aim is that they receive a quality education. Coupled to that they learn their content, is also knowing that they have to acquire the English language. So that's training teachers to not only be very supportive of a student that's coming in, and that we acknowledge their culture, their traditions, and know about how we would build background knowledge to be able to access to that curriculum content, and yet at the same time be moving toward the acquisition of the English language.
Okay, so wow, that sounds like a balance. So you're probably working with social and emotional learning and other departments in the district to make sure that happens.
One of the most important piece is the emotional aspect of also addressing the needs of these students and families. We can get to the academic piece, but we need to recognize that a lot of our students and families have experienced many different things that interfere or affect or create a lot of stress in their learning and in their daily lives. So with us, it's working with the Department of SEL to be able to help our teachers, and also to work with our parent support staff to be able to reach out to families.
So can you tell us, Ms. Montes, about maybe a story of a family that was really successful going through the International Welcome Center and the programs, the services that you provide?
Well, we've seen very many of them. We are not at the moment keeping much track of that, but I know the students in International are moving forward. Some of them come back and visit us, or the mom now is bringing another student or another children, and we always ask how are they doing, how are they feeling, and they say they are moving forward, they are understanding, and that they are liking it and trying to do their best in whatever they are doing. We know some stories, I don't have the names right now, but students that were just like for 6 months or 8 months in international, then were able to move to their home campus and are doing really, really great without starting in zero English, and then they move forward. And what we've seen is that the families that support their students are the ones that could be succeeding. So that's why this program is expanding, to giving that support to the parents and to ask them to be more involved in all the student academic life, and they are understanding that, and they are getting that that's going to be helpful for their students. So I think we are going to start following them and trying to have those success stories. We were in a celebration of Hispanic heritage, and we heard some of them, and they're doing good. They're doing good. They are getting acculturated to the country, so that's good.
So let's talk about the International High School, because the Welcome Center, it sounds like that's where they start when they come in. And in high school, if they qualify, they go to the International High School. So can you tell us just a little bit about how that works?
The criteria for the international high school is the students should be between 14 and 16 years, because international high school only has the grade 9th and 10th.
Okay.
And then should be first time in an American school. So that's part of the questions that we ask the families when they are with us, to identify them as newcomers. And then in the oral proficiency test, they should score a level 1 or level 2, which are the lower ones. If they get that criteria, we recommend the international high school for the students.
But it's not required. They can go to their home school should they choose.
They can go to their home school. We do have some assurances that were put in place for those students that go to international. One, for example, we do have a parent training specialist that is working with families there. She's right at the campus and provides such things as planning meetings with them to discuss topics that might arise or that need to be addressed. The first week in October, we're going to be meeting with the whole representation of parents from the International High School, coming to an auditorium where we will have stationed several interpreters that will speak and interpret for them what is discussed, and the discussion will center around 6 weeks reporting periods. And how many 6 weeks do we have, and how important is it for credits? And that's one thing that is very critical for us. We also look very closely at those students at International by providing a service through the University of Texas for students that have been educated in Mexico, where we can analyze their coursework and be able to compare it and give credit if it mirrors what the state expectation is of our students. We also do that with another company that will do the very same analysis of any of the coursework that they bring to us from other countries, so that we can give these students their needed credits. We align a bridging with graduation plans to the receiving high schools as well.
That's great. So, you know, I personally have worked with a few families from countries who speak Burmese and different languages, different dialects of Burmese, and it's really challenging trying to find interpreters who speak the correct dialect.
Most certainly.
And so it's interesting just to see the students and families coming in from all these different countries, and it's just exciting to see how they are learning about each other's cultures and how we're learning about the cultures. And when we come back, I'd really like to talk about the expansion of the services provided. Again, we touched on some of them earlier at the Welcome Center, but also how we can encourage families to take part in the programs if they may not know about them, or if they're interested in maybe working with our families because they have the expertise in language acquisition and those types of things. So we'll be right back in a few minutes and we'll go into that information.
Austin growing like it is, we have such a diverse population, people from all over the world coming here looking for opportunities, and having a campus that is such a reflection of, the makeup of the greater city, I think makes our campus really special.
International High School is a great school for me. This is like a family, like a home, because we are for different countries. We have a lot of kids for Italia, Colombia, Honduras, El Salvador, Mexico.
International High School is a 2-year campus. We service 9th and 10th graders who are brand new to the country. And our job is to get these kids ready for their home campus.
High school is a great school. When I came here, I didn't know how to speak really good English, how to communicate with the people, but after time, I got learned a lot of stuff from different cultures, different language, and the teachers are helpful. They help me a lot how to write English, how to speak, and I think international is like my home. I feel really comfortable.
And that these kids are having to face some great academic challenges, but at the same time, being new to the country, that's a challenge in itself. So embracing the whole child.
I like about international high school, it's we are like a student, one big family. We are here for learning English, while each student is from different country. They speak different language, they have different culture, but we are combined and we love each other. I like it. Amazing.
When a child enrolls at the International High School, they will take their course load looks exactly like the course load would look at any other high school. They take English 1, they take algebra, they'll take geography, they'll take an elective such as PE, they'll take a computer class. So it's all the courses necessary to keep them on track to graduate.
I like about international is like we teach more English, and they teach like how to use pronoun and how to speak. So I like it, and they give me more information, or like they give like culture. So I learn more American culture.
We've had kids go on to graduate valedictorians of their schools. They've gone off to college. Many of them have gone off to Ivy League schools. So we're very proud of the work that we're doing here at the International.
My name is Jordi Valderas, and one thing that I like from International High School is that I can meet and learn about other cultures. I have friends from other countries, and I talk with them, and I like how they speak or their customs. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I like from here.
I think that in Austin, this school is like everything, because this is like our family. This is so cool.
And we're back with Dr. Alanis and Ms. Nora Montes de Flores. So let's talk about the expansion of the services provided by the International Welcome Center.
So as I said previously, we were just giving information about the documents for enrollment and answering some questions for families, guardianship card, etc. But now we're starting to give them orientation that's taking around an hour, hour and a half for students and parents, giving them a lot of information about the school system. Like I mentioned, the attendance, the dress code, the tests that we have, and the way they should behave, discipline at schools, and the transportation and safety at schools, and all that information that we can see how they are is eye-opening and say, okay, now I understand.
Okay.
Something about schedules also, the way they are handled here, that they need to be moving around the school. So all those things, so they could feel more comfortable starting school. The first day they are at school, they are not thrown there without knowing what's going to happen.
That's good.
And also families knowing what their students are going through. About lunches, and we know there's some food that they can't eat. So we are giving them the confidence that letting the school know that their student is not allowed to eat that kind of food, so they can feel confident doing it.
Right.
Strict to the cafeteria.
Some things we take for granted. We
Correct.
don't even consider,
Yeah.
being worried about those things.
Yeah, even how we call the ninth grade, it's a sophomore.
Sophomore's 10th?
So junior and senior, they say, what's that? So we're trying to explain all those terms that, like you say,
Okay.
that we think they already know is something common in all countries, and they're not. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So getting the basics, the terminology, the process, the procedures, helping them acclimate to not only AISD, but the United
American
States
system.
educational system. So that's really a lot when you think about it. Even the first day of school for students who have been here, I mean, it's scary. You step onto a campus for the first time, but I can't imagine coming from another country and not knowing anything about it. So that's great to hear that we're doing that orientation.
Yeah.
And that's a big help for our students, but also our parents. We're very considerate of what information we can give them in a language that they can understand, which is their own. So most parents that bring their children to school want to find out what's the length of the school day. They need to talk to somebody about a course or a subject that they need to change for the student. Where would they go to find a counselor, and what are the services of a counselor or a social worker that we might have at the campus? Or they've heard perhaps that we also help families learn English through ESL adult classes. So they want to find out things that will help their own children be better in school. So we try to, every communication that we send or every event that we have, are very considerate of making sure that we keep those families very informed.
That's good. So let's talk about services for the whole family. We talked about the orientation, and with regard to helping our students and the families together, we want to kind of wrap around them to make sure that everybody is getting what they need. What are we doing with regard to that for our newcomers?
At this point, we're in the planning stages of planning an innovation or an initiative that would support using a facility that we could use to invite students and families. And I envision a mother coming in with her son, and they walk in and the child turns to the right hallway and can go to an ESL class to learn extended English, or a computer lab, or review for an end of course assignment he might have, or a test preparation he might have. The mother in turn could go on and perhaps have an appointment with a counselor or somebody who can help her fill out an application for job employment, maybe train her to how to interview well, or to have other type of, dental assistant being there for certain exams that would be pro bono for them or free that we would provide. So it would be something that would enhance their lives, and it'll be something that connects them to immediate needs within our school setting.
That sounds amazing. So they can actually come and not have to go all over Austin, catching public transportation, just trying to figure it out, because it's difficult enough. So if we can just provide that service in one place, that would be amazing. So in order to get that done, I would imagine we'd have to collaborate with some community organizations.
We've been collaborating with outside agencies, and then are going to expand. Also, not just within, of course, the medical and health field, but the judicial courts who can have some of that also help us, as well as the universities who can help us. When we go to the side for the student walks, we have a lot of universities here in our city that can help us with maybe providing students as tutors for our students, that can help with test preparation or clarification of questions in any content area. So our dream is to be able to have that for our students so they can accelerate through our programs and be ready to graduate and go on.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
Thank you.
So with the International Welcome Center and the International High School, it sounds like we're providing wonderful services for our students who are new to the country, and they're coming from all over. I mean, of course, we have Mexico, we're on the border, but we've got Turkey and Sudan and Africa and the Netherlands. And
every day it's a
Nepal
new country we hear about. Yes.
And so,
and a new language too.
right, and they're bringing languages that we may not have been familiar with.
Exactly.
So not only are they learning from us, but we're learning from them. So we're becoming a multicultural organization with regard to our students, but also working with our staff. And so it sounds like you mentioned earlier that we're really working on that cultural piece.
The cultural piece, recognizing and respecting the student and their culture, creating safe environments, creating settings for learning where they can find themselves in that setting. So we should be able to provide as hard as we can to find books where the characters or the main place of the story takes. It's something familiar to them. Those are what I call opportunities that we have in education for our students.
Right.
And then for our teachers, is training the teachers to be able to provide English language development as well as that content for the student. And for the whole school setting, it's just embracing all the diversity and responding to it in a positive way.
And I think for that cultural awareness is learning about where these students are coming from. Because we're humans, and then giving those human stories to the school staff, they will understand, okay, they need my hug, they need my smile, they need me to feel them welcome. So I think that's a good point, because that's a good starting for anything that we have to develop for them in the school system. Once they feel safe and they feel welcome, they feel they are part of us, then they will start growing with us. So I think that's a good piece to bring to the table too.
And we learn through hearing stories.
Correct.
And just like you said at the Hispanic Heritage celebration last week, you heard from several students representing different countries. And so that was such a powerful experience, listening to our own students who are coming from other countries and what they've experienced and introducing us to their culture. So it's exciting to know that we have all of these countries represented and that we have these services available so that they're not just thrown into our system and left to fend for themselves.
And those realities do truly exist. We have a young lady that's at Reagan High School right now, has taken everything that she can to every opportunity for learning, for extended learning, to be able to gain her credits that she needs so that she can close those gaps, and also work very hard at her end of course exams. So those realities are out there, and those students with strong resiliency are out there.
That's great. Well, that's all the time we have for now. I really want to thank you both, Dr. Alanis and Ms. Montes de Flores, for coming with us and sharing with us about the International Welcome Center and the International High School and the Department of English Language Learners.
And we thank you for your time.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. So thank you again for joining us on Breaking Down the Barriers. To keep up with information in the district and AISD community, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at AISD_BDB. Also, watch Breaking Down the Barriers on AISD's Channel 22 every Tuesday and Thursday evening at 7:30 p.m. and Sunday mornings at 10:30 a.m. I'm your host, Beverly Reeves, and I look forward to talking to you next time on Breaking Down the Barriers.